Hey there, it's time once again for the Meaningful, Measurable Marketing Podcast. I'm Jen Carroll.
And I'm Annalisa Hilliard. Together, we are the Dames of Data Dames Marketing. As the Dames, Jen and I are marketing strategy consultants who help our clients align marketing, business goals, and measure results that matter.
As longtime friends, we avidly consume and critique all kinds of drinks, spend as much time outdoors as possible, and are always learning.
We also strive to stay on top of what's happening in our industry.
Our goal with this podcast is to look at today's biggest marketing trends, many requiring enterprise-level teams and budgets to fully implement, and try to apply them in ways that make sense for small to mid-sized businesses.
We hope you'll subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. You can connect with Jen and me via our website, datadamesmarketing.com, or on LinkedIn, where we do most of our social media networking.
In this episode, recorded in December 2020, Annalisa and I were excited to interview Holly Price, a web developer and WordPress enthusiast from Liverpool in the UK. Holly first caught our attention in a moment of frustration in mid-2020, actually. We found ourselves dealing yet again with a page builder in WordPress that wasn't functioning well on a client's website, and we were trying to wrap our heads around why there's been a meteoric rise in the popularity of page builders. While I was Googling various queries, one of Holly's blog posts, "Should you use a page builder on your WordPress website?" popped up. She'd written that post in May 2020, and from a developer's viewpoint, listed out many of the frustrations we data dames were encountering. She felt like a kindred spirit from all the way across the pond. After some messaging back and forth on LinkedIn, we were delighted when Holly said she would let us interview her about page builders and, more broadly, website builders like Shopify, Squarespace, and Wix, and discuss their pros and cons. We hope the knowledge she shares will be helpful for any small business marketer who's considering website redevelopment. Here we are with Holly. In today's edition of Meaningful Measurable Marketing, we are going to be talking about page builders and website builders. The reason why is obviously they've become very, very popular over the last decade or so, but they also present some problems for all parties involved: developers, businesses, SEOs, marketers, all of that. So today our guest is coming to us from very far away.
Across the pond.
Across the pond. That's a terrible accent. Okay. I'd like to introduce Holly Price. She is a website developer in the UK. And Holly, tell us about yourself.
Hello, yes, my name's Holly and I'm a web developer and I specialise in word development, WordPress websites. Basically, my main job is to turn designs into fully functioning WordPress websites, and I also provide WordPress support to WordPress website owners.
And what part of the UK are you from?
So I'm originally from the county of Shropshire, which you probably have never heard of before.
That's okay. Most people haven't heard of Canton, Ohio.
It's like a very rural part of the UK. Lots of farms and hills, but I currently live just outside of Liverpool.
Nice.
They have a good soccer team, I hear.
Well, there's two football teams in Liverpool. There's Liverpool and Everton, and I'm an Everton supporter. So
okay, all right.
So is one of those good or not so good?
Well, they're both in like the top football league here in the UK, but Liverpool did win the league last year, which caused a lot of upset.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Nice. Yeah, I keep forgetting, of course, it's football. And we say soccer. So.
Yeah, we actually had a conversation before we started recording. It was like we were talking in Fahrenheit.
Right. The confusion.
Yeah,
Why? I don't know. Is maybe the U.S. the only country that uses Fahrenheit? I don't know.
I think so.
Probably. So one of the things that we like to do at every podcast is we love to give small businesses a shout out. Obviously, 2020, it's always hard to be a small business owner, but 2020 has definitely made it even harder. So we'd love to hear, Holly, if there's a small business near you that you'd like to tell folks about.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Julia, who runs a business called the Independent Girls Collective. And she's based in Liverpool. And basically, it is an online membership for female business owners. And she creates courses to help business owners with all areas of their business. So things like branding. She used to be an accountant, so she's got some great courses on like tax, which is a bit more UK based. But there's all sorts of courses on everything you need to know about running a business. And she also has like a really supportive Facebook group, which is just full of business owners. You can go and ask any questions. So that's my small business shout out.
That is awesome. What's the website?
It's called Independent Girls Collective. I think it's .co.uk or .com. If you type in Independent Girls Collective in Google, it'll come up.
That sounds like that's great. Thank you. Yeah, that could be a value for folks here.
And you're an independent business owner, is that correct?
Yeah, so my business is just called hollyprice.com, and I mostly run it on my own. My boyfriend left his job to come and work with me as of summer this year. He's also a web developer, so that's really fun.
Wow,
right.
That's perfect.
But still considered a small business.
Yes, right. Definitely. Well, there's a difference in the definition between small business here and where you are. How do you guys define small business in the UK?
So a small business in the UK would probably be maybe like less than 10 employees, probably.
Okay. All right. Yeah, here in the US, we only have like essentially two official definitions, and I don't remember what goes up to. I think it's like over 1,000. Anything under 1,000 might be a small business. And
what is enterprise?
Large business and small business. You'd think we would have more definitions, but I don't think that we do. So anyway, we've come to our favorite part of the podcast, which is always, what are you drinking? Now, it is 9 a.m. in Ohio.
We have some good high quality H2O.
Right. And
a ref water boy.
Okay.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah. And we also have some good quality coffee. Now, right. I suspect that Holly might be drinking something different at this point in the day, but we just love to hear in general what you are drinking.
Or what do you like to drink?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just being boring and drinking water at the moment. But once I've done recording this podcast, I'll probably open a bottle of wine because it's a Friday night.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
White or red?
I drink rosé wine.
Oh, okay. Well, there. Right in the middle.
Very nice. Are you quarantining in any way right now? So,
Yeah, so in the UK, we've just come out of, in England, Scotland, Wales, it's all different. It's very confusing. But in England, we've just come out of our second lockdown, and now we're in like a tier system. So different areas of the country are in different tiers depending on the infection rate. So there's 3 different tiers. 3's the worst, 1's the best, and where I live, we're in tier 2, which means we can go out to restaurants, but we can't meet with other people. So it's a bit rubbish.
Yeah. We've got a lot of confusing things here as well. But I was just thinking on a normal, like, if COVID didn't exist, were there some great local places you'd like to go out to on a Friday?
Oh, I would love to go to the pub. I really miss going to the pub. Just like there's a small one not far from where we live that is like really cozy, really traditional English pub with especially at this time of the year, it'll have the roaring fire, and I miss it so much.
Sounds fantastic.
Oh my gosh. All right.
If we ever get to the UK,
I know. I'm coming to that
we're
pub.
going to look you up. And you're going to have to tell us where
that pub is. Yeah. Sounds amazing. Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to be talking about page builders and a little bit also about website builders. And the reason we invited Holly to join us today is this was several months ago, and it was just Annalisa and I had encountered just another instance of a problem with a page builder. And I remember I was just so frustrated with it. And I just started Googling, why on earth do people keep using page builders? And Holly had written an excellent blog post. And I'm like, I got to reach out to this person and say, like, this blog post, it was exactly what some of the reasons I was looking for. And so let's start by defining, realizing that maybe not everybody who will be listening to this will know exactly what we're talking about. They could be internal marketing people who aren't website developers and therefore may not know the difference between regular WordPress site and one that's built in a page builder, even from a website builder. So Holly, do you want to tell us how you define page builders?
Yeah, sure. So a page builder is functionality that allows you to build websites and web pages without needing to know how to code. So they usually utilize drag and drop functionality, and they're usually built with modules. So for example, or modules or blocks. So you would have like a text block to add text in, or an image block to add images in. There are specific page builder websites that you might be familiar with, like Wix and Squarespace, but you can also get page builder themes and plugins for WordPress websites.
Yeah, and I know that's because WordPress probably has felt the need to be more competitive.
Yeah, definitely. I think people see WordPress as being very technical, and that's where page builders kind of come in to make life a little bit easier.
Is that they created their own page builder, Gutenberg, is that right?
Yeah, so in 2018, WordPress brought out their block editor, which is also known as Gutenberg. And it's because, like you say, I think they realized that they need to compete with places like Squarespace and Wix and have more of a user-friendly interface.
Yeah, it's funny because we were doing our website around 2008. We were like, we were thinking that Gutenberg was going to be like the new WordPress. So we had our our developer install it initially, and then we're like, we don't want that anymore.
Yeah, please take that off.
So I think he had to install like a disable Gutenberg plugin.
Right. It was
at the point of that he was in the development stage.
Yeah, it was very disappointing, to say the least, when we were trying to use it. So we're like, take that off.
It was very buggy when it first came out. There were a lot of problems, and yeah, even I installed it's called the Classic Editor plugin, so I could go back to the normal editor because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Do you use Gutenberg now, or are you still going Classic?
I have made the switch now, but I do miss the old one. I think it's because I used it for so many years.
So within page builders in WordPress, you talk about 2 different types. So if you wouldn't mind defining themes versus plugins.
Yeah, so there are page builder themes, which is where the entire website becomes a page builder. So you can build absolutely everything. So the header and the footer, as well as all the content on the page. And then there's plugins which kind of work with existing WordPress themes, and they're mainly used to control the content rather than things like the headers and footers.
That's a good definition and clarification for me, because I know we've worked with several clients that over the years have had page builders and Can you tell, like, when you log into the back end of a WordPress site, whether it's theme that's a page builder or a plugin?
Yeah, so you can normally just go to the themes page when you log into a WordPress website and see which theme it's using. So a common, a very popular theme page builder is Divi. So if it's running Divi, then it's using that. And then like page builder plugins, you've got things like Divi does have a page builder plugin if you don't want the theme, but there's also Elementor, Visual Composer, and Beaver Builder are the most popular ones.
How does that work with customization? Like if you're going to build a website, a client comes to you and they want a custom website built. Do you always use like a partial page builder? Like if it's I guess a partial to me would be a plugin.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on who the client is and what they want. Some clients want a lot of flexibility. They know that they're going to want to build their own pages, and in that case, I would use a page builder plugin. Personally, as a developer, would never use a page builder theme because I like to have full control over the theme and I can code, so it makes sense to make the actual theme itself from scratch. But some clients I don't think are a good fit to have page builders, and in that case I would build the website slightly differently, and I'd utilize things like custom post types in WordPress and custom fields.
Obviously, because these page builders have grown in popularity, there are a lot of good things about them or pros to using them. So let's talk a little bit about a few of those. We'll start with you, Holly. What do you feel are the pros to page builders?
So I think the major pro of using page builders is that you don't need to know how to code. And learning to code takes a long time and getting experience doing that. So being able to cut that out is a real benefit. And because you don't need to know how to code, you don't need to hire a web developer like me to come and do it. And that means it can be a lot cheaper. And it's also a lot faster because when I build websites, it normally take 3 to 4 weeks just to do the first draft, and then there's revisions and going live after that. But page builders can allow you to get a website up within a few days. That's why a lot of designers offer like website in a day or website in a weekend projects. They'll always use page builders to do that because it's a lot faster.
And that's actually speaks to a podcast that we did a while ago about the difference between developers, designers, and marketers. You know, that's one thing here, at least in the US, and I don't know if it's the same in the UK, but people tend to interchangeably use the terms website developer and website designer when most of the time website designers usually do not have any coding experience. You know, they're like we kind of used Annalisa, you developed an analogy to, you know, architect as the website marketer, the, you know, interior designer is like the website designer, and then the construction company is the website developer, the person who's actually writing code. But here a lot of times people will just hire, you know, a website designer, and you can be almost guaranteed that it will usually be in a page builder or a website builder. Is that kind of the same experience for you?
Yeah, it's exactly the same, especially sort of in the online space. When I worked in corporate, it was very normal to have separate web designers and separate developers, and we just focused on our own areas. But then when I left my job and started working for myself, it was quite a shock to find that there was a lot of web designers just doing web design, and they were building the websites as well.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of one of the pros of having a page builder is a lot of times they come in an aesthetic package. You know, they look very nice, and so, you know, I think a lot of clients can get excited about a particular look that they think is going to, you know, work really well. That can be something that's seen as a pro, I think, to these you know, themes and even the templates that you can get in website builders.
Yeah, and I would think, I mean, obviously, you know, you're talking about a timeline, so it's faster, but like with faster setup usually would probably mean less expensive. I think it's hard for us when we have clients looking at doing a website and someone sends them a proposal for basically a page builder website, and then they have like a real developer or a developer send them, you know, a proposal, and when they look at it side by side, you know, we have to convince the client or help them, you know, understand the difference too. I mean, is that something that you run into a lot? Obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
Coder, yeah.
a lot of the time people will come to me for a quote and they're also going to go to other people. It's really hard to explain to people that you can't really compare a website built with a page builder versus a website built completely custom, just completely custom code. So it is quite heartbreaking when people say no because they're going to go with another developer, another designer who's going to build it with a page builder. But yeah, it is quite difficult. And sometimes I think, oh, maybe my life would be a lot easier if I just used page builders. But I know personally that I can build a much better website when I code it from scratch, and it results in a better quality product for the client as well.
Well, that's probably a good transition into talking about tons of.
Yeah, Holly, why don't you continue with your, with kind of your line of thinking, in terms of building a better website from scratch. What are some of the cons of page builders and website builders?
So one of the big cons, I think, of page builders is, even though I said before, it can make it easier for people who don't know how to code to build a website, they can also be really overwhelming for people to use. I've worked with clients before who have had their website built by someone else using a page builder, and they're absolutely terrified of using it because they've had a bad experience. Maybe they've deleted something that they shouldn't have done, and then they end up just handing the whole website over to me, and it kind of defeats the point of having a page builder. It should make their life easier. It doesn't, and then they end up having to continue to source it out. And I just feel like there is more to go wrong in that aspect.
Yeah, actually, I think that was a point we definitely wanted to hit on, and maybe you can talk a little bit from your perspective about more to go wrong. What do you mean by that? We have some thoughts too, but
so I guess it is because a page builder basically allows a client to do anything. They will do anything. They can delete things, they can break them, mess up the way it looks. If you're hiring a designer and a developer, it's because you want someone to make sure that your website is going to look nice and function well. But sometimes clients go in and they just cause absolute chaos. It ends up looking a mess.
I was going to say, Annalisa, we've, had issues with plugins and all kinds of things that when you talk about things that go wrong.
Yeah, I would say sometimes, well, I guess maybe the first thing I noticed, because, when I first started looking at page builders and having clients that have them or have used them, I was like, yeah, this is great. Like, because, I guess for me and for Jen, we have a little bit more experience on websites than most clients, most of our clients, but we're not developers.
Right.
So we're kind of in the middle. It's potential that we could delete things, but I think we probably, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but we probably wouldn't. But then, like, the things that we run into, one of the things is limited customization. Like, yes, you can move things around and you can put things in different places, but like at some point you run into, oh, like, I want to do this way, and we can't.
Yeah, you're completely stymied at that point.
Right.
So you can't do it because of the builder.
And then, like, another thing is like usability for users to the website. So you talked about, complications and being overwhelmed on the back end of the website, but then I think on the front end, and again, with some of that, sometimes when you run into like a customization issue, it causes usability problems for the user. And so that I feel like is definitely one drawback of page builders and website builders.
Well, and as marketers, we're all about, the user experience. We're about conversion optimization and other things. And those page builders and website builders are not necessarily built with any of the marketing pieces in mind. And so when we want to change those things and you run into a page builder, and you can't, it's very frustrating. I think too, Holly, you mentioned in your blog post originally about excess code, and there was a lot about that. Can you talk a little bit about, that's kind of like a hidden thing? Clients don't really know or understand why that matters, but.
Yeah, sure. So with page builders, they contain a lot of code because there's so many options. So for every option you see, there is a lot of code behind the scenes. More code means not only is there a chance of there being more problems, and like you were saying about installing plugins, sometimes you get plugin clashes. It can also slow down the website massively, which can have an effect on the performance, and your website speed has an impact on SEO. And so there's just so much extra code. And as a developer, you said about like customizing with page builders, they're so limited that you end up having to write more code to be able to do the things that you actually want to do. And it just seems really ridiculous to add more code when it's already really bulky as it is.
And that's not like code that you can just remove either. Like it has to remain there whether you use it or not, because it allows all the functionality, right, of the page builder.
Exactly, yeah. Whether you're using it or not, it's there.
Yeah, and then one of the other things I know that we've run into, I know I was working on one site that was on Weebly. Like it just seems like page builders and website builders specifically are behind a bit on SEO, and obviously SEO evolving all the time. It's hard probably for them to everything up to date, but like one of the things I remember having to do with the Weebly site is like I actually had to have like an app to use heading tags. Like, what? Like, how is this capability not? Because I was used to using like the WYSIWYG editor in WordPress, where you could use, HTML code, basic HTML code for heading tags. And I wasn't able to do that in Weebly. But I mean, now you can maybe, but it's one of those things where it seems like there's a delay.
Definitely. I think that is another thing that's wrong with page builders, is that they aren't great for SEO. And also because the client can control everything, they can also, it's like, I don't think heading tags make much of a difference in SEO anymore. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I've had clients and they've just added like 20 H1 heading 1 tags to a website, like one page, and you're like, this isn't how you do it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. It's not usually from a SEO standpoint anymore, but it's still, I feel like it visually helps break down parts of the page when you use like headings structurally.
Yeah, for the user, it's a better experience on the page. Some of the other things too that we found is, for example, we had talked with an insurance company about a website, and they wanted to use a company that just built websites for insurance companies, and that was kind of all they did, and all the websites had the same basic look, and so while it was affordable, it looked nice, it would be a very difficult thing, I think, to differentiate their brand when your template looks like similar to all these other insurance companies. And so I'm not, again, sure why a company that was forward thinking and wanted to have a website that was uniquely their own, why they would want to use, a page builder, a website builder that a bunch of other people in their industry use. So that was another thing that we noticed. And Annalisa, you worked with someone that had a Shopify site, and you talked a little bit about all the expenses that go on top of the basic.
Right. And I guess there's certain plugins, like I guess apps and plugins are kind of the same thing depending on what platform you're talking about. On WordPress, it's plugins. On Shopify, I think they call them apps. And I know my friend has like an e-commerce portion to her site, and so she uses Shopify for that. And I know there's like additional apps she has to pay for monthly. Like I think there was one that like helps her control her inventory or have like a database for her inventory. And so there's like added costs on top of what they quote you as like, here's your monthly cost. But it usually ends up being more than that for some of the advanced functions.
Right. And I mean, I know some plugins also cost money on WordPress, but yeah, again, if you're looking for this idea, this is going to be inexpensive and like this one basic cost, and suddenly you're adding more and more each time you need to add functionality, that changes the price.
Yeah, something to, I guess, keep in mind when you're looking at the cost of a page builder. Builder. So when people come to you, I guess in kind of in conclusion, of these pros and cons, Holly, when people come to you and they talk to you, I mean, I don't know how many clients actually are enough in the development world, obviously, to understand page builder or no page builder. Like how do you counsel them?
So I'd say most of the time people come to me and they're quite open to options. It's quite rare that someone will come and say, look, it has to be built with a page builder. I want this flexibility that the page builders give. But if they do come to me and they talk about that, I do explain that this is why I build websites the way I do without page builders and using basically the features that WordPress already has. And I talk about the benefits. I usually talk about things like usability, SEO, speed, and really try and sell the benefits of that, especially because they're coming to me as a developer and they're paying developer prices. Why would they want something that they could do themselves, really?
And for us, when sometimes we're brought in on projects that the page builders already exist.
I mean, I think it comes down to something similar to what Holly said. We always talk about functionality and speed and SEO and branding and things like that. You can't get with a page builder as easily or.
I think a lot of times, when you talk about website builders like your Shopify and so forth, most of the time a larger business, one, let's say here, 50 employees and up, they're not going to be, hopefully, they're not thinking about, necessarily doing a Weebly site or a Wix site in most cases. However, marketing managers often don't realize that a designer or a developer might actually be using a page builder on their site. So I think
a page builder plugin.
Right. So I think it's just good, hopefully, we have some listeners today who this might be informative to them, so that if they're going to be, if they're a marketing manager and they're going to be considering a redevelopment in 2021 or, and again, with the increase of online use during the coronavirus pandemic, that, I know a lot of companies are thinking about redeveloping or their sites. It's important that they know about these page builders before they enter into contracts with, and again, even some agencies I know will use page builders and
that reminds me, I guess, of and it'd be a question for you, Holly, with page builders. Like, if you commit to using a page builder, how easy is it to be like, oh, this is not the experience I thought it was, let's go back? It's not that easy, right?
No. So once you've installed a page builder and you've started using it, all your pages will be created using that. And if you uninstall the page builder plugin or theme, you're going to get left behind with shortcodes, which are like pieces of text that are in brackets, and the page will just be absolutely full of them. Your content will be in between them, but you have to sit there and manually remove them. And I moved a website recently from a page builder to just using normal WordPress, and it took hours and hours just sitting there picking out the content and moving it over, and it was just so tedious.
So it's almost like starting over.
Yeah, basically it is like starting from scratch again.
Yeah, so it's good to, again, really good to be aware of what you're getting into before you do a page builder. And again, I just feel like many of our clients don't even know how the back end of their site is being designed or developed, and it would be, really advantageous for them to check into that before, like you said, before they start on a new site or redevelopment. Really important.
Yeah. And I see a lot of designers and developers say, oh, well, it doesn't really matter what's going on behind the scenes as long as the website looks like the client wants it to. But I couldn't disagree more. I think the client should be aware of what their website is using, because it could lead to problems later down the line.
Yeah, great point. Well, thank you for that. That brings us to our last segment, which is always what are we learning, or what is giving us energy these days, and that's especially important right now. Holly, what about you? What have you been learning about recently, or what's bringing you energy?
So at the moment, I'm learning a new coding language because I like to keep myself busy. So I'm learning React.js, which is a JavaScript code, and basically it's what the new block editor in WordPress is built on. So I thought it was really important for me to learn, and I just like having a new challenge.
So when you're already a developer, does it help make that process quicker, or is it still kind of a long process to learn a new developer language?
Well, I realise it's been a while since I learned a new language from scratch, because everything I've been using for years now. So it has been a real challenge for me to get back into the habit of learning, but I'm enjoying it.
Do you use a specific software, or you use old-fashioned books?
I'm using a mixture, to be honest. I bought a course that teaches React, but there's also some really great tools online like Codecademy and Scrimba, where you can actually, like, you're given challenges to do and you learn about the code, and then you can practice it and get results back so you know if you're getting it right or not.
All right, Jen.
Oh. I have been doing a lot of deep dives into the more up-to-date features of Google My Business for clients, and just adding a lot of customization to the Google My Business listings, because even though the features aren't brand new, a lot of businesses still aren't taking advantage of all of the features Google My Business offers. And if we're living in a world of zero-click searches, which we are, you have to recognize that a lot of people may never click through to your website, and you need to also optimize your Google My Business. So I've been just kind of like working with clients and also with our own on improving that. So that's kind of been my recent thing.
I have been working in Google Data Studio so I've been using Google Data Studio for a long time, but just recently wanted to connect one of the tools I use on a regular basis called SEMrush. And the connector is not working the way that I had hoped. And I've spent a lot of time trying to troubleshoot it and get it to work, but I haven't been successful. And I've been talking to them, and I'm not sure that it will be successful. But in the process, I've learned that you can blend data sources. So like if you want to see information from like two Google platforms like Google Analytics and Google Search Console in one place, in one chart, you can do that now. I'm going to have fun thinking about ways to put data together.
These are the Holly, you like to study programming languages, and Annalisa loves to deep dive into data. I wish I had something quite as compelling today. Maybe next time. Well, Holly, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been wonderful. Tell folks again where they can find you if they, by chance, hopefully folks in the UK might listen to this, but you never know, somebody in the US might reach out to. Where can they find you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. You can find me at hollyprice.com, which is my website. And Holly spelt with a Y and Price is spelt with a Y as well. It's a bit of a confusing name to have as your domain name. And then I'm also on Instagram at hollypricedev, which is short for developer.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thanks again, Holly, and we'll look forward to seeing you online.
Cheers.
And maybe at that pub someday. I'd really like to come to that pub.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you.
That wraps up another episode of Meaningful, Measurable Marketing. If you manage marketing, sales, customer service, or operations for a growing small business, we hope you found this podcast helpful. Any tool, resource, or article we reference can be found in the show notes for this episode. And if you haven't already subscribed to our podcast or left us a review, we hope you'll do both today. I'm Jen Carroll. My co-host Annalisa Hilliard and I are marketing strategy consultants, and together we are the Data Dames of Data Dames Marketing. Learn more about us at datadamesmarketing.com.